I can't make this shit up. What? Hey everyone, welcome to the jungle. My name is Tia, and today we're gonna be talking about Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. So when I started getting into booktube, I found that basically everyone was reading this book, or had read it already. I heard that this book was this generation's Harry Potter. Of course that intrigues me, right? Harry Potter was something I grew up with, Harry Potter is a big part of who I am today, so I needed to at least see what this was all about. This is editing me here. I just wanted to tell you that if you're a sensitive person and you feel like you're gonna have to defend this book from harm, you are not going to like this video. I will not be constructive, I will just shit on it. Sorry, not sorry. Also, I have the sincerest respect for the author for making this travesty of a novel into a huge phenomenon, so don't take anything that I say as a slight to her. I just felt like I needed to clear that up because knowing the internet, I'm gonna have some angry comments after this video. Now, I found that a lot of people hated on it. I tried to go in it with an open mind. I found that this is a piece of shit. This is trash. This is so bad. I realized that I'm not the target demographic of this book. As a 30-year-old, I just feel like I'm not really that qualified anymore to talk about this book because I'm just so obviously past anything that this book talks about. At the same time, I feel like any 30-year-old picking up Harry Potter for the first time would still enjoy it. So, you know. Anyway, let's get into the actual review. I'm gonna start with a little synopsis. So we follow this 18-year-old assassin girl called Celaena Sardothien, because obviously that's her name. She's supposed to be this legendary assassin already at 18, and lo and behold, she got caught, so how fucking legendary can she be? She got sent to some salt mines to be a slave to work there until she dies, but she, for some reason, lives longer than anyone else because she's special. So one day, the prince and the captain of the guard comes to save her. It turns out that the king needs a champion, and the salty prince wants to get back at his dad, so he chooses the legendary assassin to be his champion. It is never really specified why, but the king wants a champion to do his dirty work. He has this competition of who's gonna get it. A bunch of high-standing dudes get to pick their champion to fight, and the prince is one of them. He chooses Celaena. Now, her incentive is that if she wins this, she gets to work for the king for 4 years and then she gets her freedom, which is better than being a slave. Duh. But she agrees, and they start traveling to the capital, where she pretends to be some high-standing lady at the same time as she starts training for this competition. Now, once in a while, she sees these magic symbols that are supposed to be important for the story but really isn't, and they're only there for the author to be able to call this fantasy. She also starts having flirtatious relationships with both the prince and the captain of the guard, and that's what the story is really about. Now let's get into why this book is absolute trash. This is the most shallow piece of fiction that I have ever read in my entire life. Everything is about looks, and I mean quite literally. Every single page, someone's good looks are mentioned. The most handsome of the guards escorted her. The prince was so handsome, it was so unfair. The best competitor would be quite handsome if he wasn't so big. And the first 50 pages is only about how absolutely gorgeous Celaena is, because she's obviously so special and amazing. She has been working in a salt mine for over a year, and people are still absolutely stunned by her beauty. Her hair is still so silky. Her body is still so voluptuous. Just everything that is cliche about teen literature is in this shit. If this book hadn't been so controversial with being hated and praised at the same time, I probably would have just DNF'd this a long time ago, but I wanted to get through it. I wanted to know what this was all about, and it's just... I usually put some stickers in the books to just mark where I think it's good and where I think it's bad. Now, the red usually means it's really bad. You can tell. Now, you'd think that these yellow ones are probably, oh, there's probably good things. No. I just ran out of unique looking red ones. So the yellow ones are actually, and I cannot make this shit up, every time a man meets her and looks her up and down, taking in her whole body. I'm not even kidding. I can read some to you. His brows lowered as his eyes traveled along her body. The prince's eyes lingered a bit too long on her body. He studied her face, then her hands, then the rest of her. His dark eyes snaked along her body. Grave ran an eye over her body. What? I'm not even halfway through these. Sometimes I felt like I continued reading it just to be able to put out the yellow notes. Every time she meets a man, I'm like, please run your eyes over her body. I need this. But really, the obsession with her looks are just so overwhelming and so much like, I don't know, teenage angst in the worst ways. It's so juvenile. I'm gonna give you some examples of why this is just not a sexy 18-year-old. Listen. Princes are not supposed to be handsome. They're sniveling, stupid, repulsive creatures. This. How unfair of him to be royal and beautiful. Alright, so spoiler alert, there's a kiss involved here, but this is what happens after. "So you liked it," he grinned. "No, oh go away." She flung herself onto her pillows, pulling the blankets above her head. She was going to die from embarrassment. How is that a sexy 18-year-old? What the fuck is this? And the fact that both the guys are swooning over her like Edward and Jacob is just so insane to me. He loved her, and no empire, no king, and no earthly fear would keep him from her. No. If they tried to take her from him, he'd rip the world apart with his bare hands, and for some reason, that didn't terrify him.
Because she's so special.
Also, one of her only descriptions, except for her being of immense beauty, is her scowling all the time. Like, do you have any other emotions? When people don't take her seriously as an assassin, she's mad about that. Also, when people take her seriously as an assassin, she's mad about that as well. And guess what she does when she's mad? She's scowling. Also, there's so much inconsistent girl hate in this, like girls just hating on each other for no apparent reason except them being other girls. The funny thing is that Selena does it as well, but she talks about it as if she's better than that. So it starts with a scene where she basically bullies another girl for being infatuated with the prince, and continues to say, "I hate women like that. They're so desperate for the attention of men that they'd willingly betray and harm members of their own sex. At least men are direct about it." Okay, so were you direct like a few sentences ago when you were flirting with the prince in front of someone that was obviously infatuated with him just to prove a point and be able to snicker at her?
You can't handle the truth!
Also, not long after, she says this. After that, she had sworn to never trust girls again, especially girls with agendas and power of their own. Girls who would do anything to get what they wanted. Bitch, that's you! Also, newsflash to everyone. Love triangles aren't cute or sexy. Trust me, I've been in several. They're not fun for anyone. It is a fucking nightmare and no one involved is having a good time. Sometimes I feel like when the author grew up, Twilight was the most popular thing out there and she was just molded by it.
I was born in it, molded by it.
Like, who stands in front of two guys, looks one in the eyes and just melts, and then look over to the other and forget that the other guy is standing there? That doesn't happen. Also, when she finally gets with someone, it's again so juvenile. It's like they're flicking each other's nose, bumping into each other with their elbows. It's just so cute, guys. I also feel like the author just didn't really decide what this book was. Is it fantasy? Is it teen smut? Is it a coming-of-age story? I just don't know what it's supposed to be. In the beginning, we get hints of fairies that is never ever mentioned again. Also, the runes and symbols she sees everywhere, they're supposed to be magic. It's like resolved within a page because it's so not helpful to the story at all. It's like it's only there for her to be able to call it fantasy. You know how usually authors put in this obvious bad guy for you to be distracted to who the real bad guy is? Throughout this entire story, I was thinking this cannot be the bad guy because it's so obviously the bad guy. Turns out I got double debated because guess what? The obvious bad guy is the bad guy. And that entire story with the runes and the bad guy and demons and whatever is happening way behind the curtains. We get tiny hints with the symbols, and then in the end we're told what the story was, but we never actually got to see it because she was so fucking distracted with the men. Here's a fantasy story, and here's a teen 50 Shades of Grey story. Now you wanted to read this one, that's why you picked up a fantasy book, but guess what? You get to read this one, and then in the end, you're told what happened in this one. Also in the end, when she, spoiler alert, wins, because, you know, no one figured that out, the king tells her that now you're my champion, you're gonna do all my dirty deeds for me, and if you're ever caught, you're gonna deny any sort of connection with me. But then why did he hold a public competition with several noble families seeing it live? Like, how can he possibly deny her connection with him? This book was just fucking exhausting to me. I realized this is not meant for me. This is not my demographic. I am supposed to read grown-up things because I am a grown-up. And still, I picked this up because it's so talked about. And just the fact that this shit is called the Harry Potter of our age. No, just no. There's only one good thing I can say for this entire book, and that is that the pacing is quite alright. It's like, it's never dull. I mean, the whole story is dull, but at least it moves. I've just been ranting for like 45 minutes now. I have no idea if anything I've just said can actually be used in a video because I've just been spitting shit at this book. But it's like when I get started ranting, I just cannot stop. If you also hated this piece of shit, please tell me about it. Let out your frustrations down here like I just did. If you loved it, tell me why I'm wrong. I'd love to hear. For the next book, we're gonna go into a little bit of sci-fi. We're gonna read 6 Wakes by Mur Lafferty. I think I'm gonna really love this book. It's like a space murder mystery. It's about a few clones that wake up on a spaceship to realize that a lot of the others are dead, and they have to figure out who did it before they're also gone. If you want to see more reviews from me or any other book-related videos, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and comment down below if you have any suggestions of books for me to read. See you all next time, bye!